National Orientation Agency (NOA) and NAFUND have uncovered universities and banks allegedly withholding approved students' loan, raising transparency and accountability concerns nationwide. Well, investigations by the National Orientation Agency and the Nigerian Education Loan Fund (NELFund) have revealed alleged unethical practices in the disbursement of the federal government's student loan fund by several tertiary institutions across the country. Deputy Director of Communications and Media, NOA, Paul Odenye, in a statement further reiterated the agency's commitment to ensuring that the objectives of the student loan scheme are not derailed. This is about safeguarding the future of education in Nigeria, he said. The statement stressed that Director General of NOA, Malam Lanre Esa Onilu, disclosed the development following a strategic meeting with the Managing Director of NELFund, Mr. Akintunde Sawyer. The revelation, the release said, was based on reports gathered by community orientation and mobilization officers, COMO, across the country. Uncovering reasons for these alleged sharp practices, therefore, will be our focus on Nigeria today. I am Minna Daniels. Welcome to the program. With me in the studio to discuss issues in students' loan disbursement is David Akoji, Director, Special Duties, National Orientation Agency, NOA. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the program, sir.
Pleasure. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Mena.
And also here with us is Comrade Atiku Abubakar Issa, President, National Association of Nigeria Students, and also a political analyst. Good to have you. Join us in this conversation.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
All right, let me start with the student, Presido. As a student, how do you actually picture the students' loan disbursement from your findings? And of course, considering this issue at hand. But before you answer the question, as a student, when you heard the situation, what was your first reaction?
No, we were not surprised because we expected that, and these are some of the issues we have raised. And we want to use this opportunity to commend NOA for coming out, because it's an agency of government, and coming out to say that these are the things going on now. They deserve commendation. But we are not surprised. All we have been asking the government and pleading with the government has always been that there should be proper monitoring, and it should not be left like that, because people always want to cut corners. And we also want to call on NOA to go further, to continue to sensitize the people and the dangers of corruption, because this is a corruption case.
Okay, let me turn to NOA now. What is your take on this revelation?
Well, we think that it's unfortunate and it's unwarranted. The intent behind the National Education Loan Fund is to remove that barrier towards children of the underprivileged gaining access to higher education for the reason of not being able to pay school fees, you know, and it's working. So it came to us as a rude shock to find that certain actors within the value chain of delivery of that particular service to students who are enrolled and deserving is playing out. You know, so we found it very, very upsetting when the report came to us. National Orientation Agency has, amongst its several responsibilities, communicating government policies, programs, and activities to the citizens, and then taking feedback from the citizens back to government so that government knows how to fine-tune and to respond to some of the teething problems. And we have always done this. It is in that process that we discovered that certain actors are taking actions that sabotage the intention of government with regards to the delivery of the National Education Loan Fund. We found that in some institutions, when the funds are disbursed, they refuse to disclose to the students. You know, we found that there are cases of collusion between some higher institution management with banks to place these funds on fixed deposit. And then they make the students pay. You can imagine how vicious all of that is. The intention of NEL Fund is to relieve parents of that burden, you know, and to free up a lot of resources so that parents can have higher purchasing power, you know, having been relieved of this school fees burden. So for players within the value chain to begin to carry out actions that sabotage this is totally intolerable.
All right, President. You know that this loan scheme is a very critical program of this administration, just like he said, to ensure that no student is denied education because of economic situation. Do you think this issue now is a setback?
No, I don't think it's a setback. The government needs to take action. Those that are involved should be punished to serve as deterrence to others. It's not a setback. It's a good thing that it is an agency of government that is coming out to say this is what is happening, so that government can correct the things that have been done wrongly by some persons. It's not a setback, but we also want to use this opportunity to plead with government to pay the school fees directly to the institutions, give the stipends directly to the students, so that students don't even need to get the money to pay school fees. Release the school fees of the students directly to the school's institutions. Then, in that case, for every student, each student, there will be two accounts, personal account of the students that the stipends will be paid to. That is, we are also asking for stipends to be given to these students, because even when you pay school fees, you will need to eat food, because you still need to take care of certain things. The stipends paid to the students directly, and the school fees directly to the institutions, so that in that case, the government will even be able to monitor the process better than the way it is now. But in the end, we still commend the government's effort, and we will always continue to commend the effort of the NOA.
What is the guarantee that when that is done, what's happening now will not stay happen? After all, it was the same money that was paid to the institution directly.
The point, Nina, is that that's exactly what's happening now. Government pays the stipends directly to the students, but the school fees for all beneficiaries in a particular institution is paid to the university. You understand? And that is why before now, the student is not aware when that payment is made, which creates this lacuna for university authorities to pretend that, for some higher institution authorities, to pretend that the money has not come.
Yes.
Whereas some of them have placed such monies in fixed deposits with arrangements with some banking institutions. Now, NEL Fund is taking steps, you know, to bridge all of these loopholes that's creating the problem we're seeing now. One of those steps they are taking is they are creating an app that will alert each student when that school fees component has been paid to the institution with date and time. So if the institution comes back to the student to say, you have to go and pay your school fees, we have not seen NEL Fund alert on it, he can show his alert on his app and his evidence and say, no, somebody is playing pranks here. This has been paid. Look at the date and the time that it has, yes, it was paid. You know, that's one of the steps. Now, for this ones that we have noticed, NEL Fund is already in touch with EFCC and ICPC.
Okay.
And they are going to move in very shortly. So we're sounding this as a note of warning to higher institutions that have intentions to toe this kind of very negative lines to sabotage the good intentions of government with regards to meeting the school fees needs, you know, of the students, that they are going to run into very serious trouble. Very, very serious trouble. The government is not playing around with this intervention, you know, that is meant to achieve the purpose of creating more access to education for underprivileged people, for broadening our national skill base. If you educate people, you have imparted skills on them, for increasing our chances at development, because when people are educated and they find themselves in positions or anywhere, they are bound to impact far more, you know, than people who are totally uneducated. So government is not going to sit idly by, and is indeed not sitting idly by.
Okay.
You know.
All right, I Comrade Atiku. Let's see how students are taking this development. I mean, I know it's a root shock, no matter how we look at it. How do you think Nigerians, especially students, how are they taking this situation?
Well, for the students, I know that we, as their leaders, we are not surprised. But many people are they are worried that they are going to. This has put them in great hardship, because I know of some students who were unable to even write exams because of this same situation. It was because of that we created social media platforms on Facebook and TikTok for them to send all of those challenges to send to us, and it's just NANS national headquarters.
Okay.
They can follow both TikTok and Facebook, and then send whatever challenges they are facing to us, and we have been receiving so many. So what is there is that the good thing is that it has been discovered early. At first, in short, it is on this program that I got more enlightenment. I was trying to travel to meet all of these people. I even planning to see that if they don't respond, we will protest. But I even be enlightened more now that I have something to. I got the enlightenment here on this program. So I will now I'm more informed now, and then I'll be able to communicate to them appropriately now.
Okay, then those students that missed the examinations because they were not able to pay their fees, whereas this school fees had been taken care of, how do you intend to handle that part?
Or write to the management and plead with them, since it is not fault of theirs, and the school fees was actually paid by government, by NELFund, so it is not their fault. They can arrange examination for them. They can consider on a humanitarian ground or whatever ground for them not to miss a whole year.
Okay, David, I know that on the part of NOAA, you're already making arrangements, to bring in the corporates, take some other actions. But after that, what next? Okay,
like I told you now, we think that a way to mitigate this kind of problem is to bring the benefiting student into the loop, of awareness when payment is made. If the student is empowered with that information, nobody can come and tell him that you are not going to write the exam because you have not paid school fees. He has the evidence in his hand to show that NELFund has credited the university account. So if anybody along that value chain in the in the higher education system decides to go and place that fund in a fixed deposit for a period and is pretending, it will not work. Because the student is now aware and empowered with that information, through the app that NELFund is going to be deploying very soon. We're also urging student leadership, student unions, to also be vigilant around this, and to blow the whistle whenever they notice that this has happened, and to also intercede periodically between the benefiting students and NELFund. So as to be aware, has NELFund disbursed the resources? If NELFund has disbursed the resources, then why are the authorities in the university and in the higher institutions pretending that funds have not been disbursed? We will continue to create awareness around this. The idea is to get a lot of indigent students to benefit from this service that NELFund is rendering at the moment. Okay. So that no child is left out of the opportunities of gaining higher education because they cannot pay school fees.
All right, David Akodji and Comrade Atiku are still here with us, but we'll take a short breather now. We'll be right back with more.
Of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thanks for joining us again. We're still here discussing issues in the Students' Loan Scheme. And of course, I have David Akoji and the Comrade Atiku right here with me. Let me come to you, Comrade. I know NOA has already, given us, some of the other ways that this kind of situation can be handled. But from a student point of view, do you agree with that, or would you like to add to it?
I agree with him, but what I need to add is that the students are the beneficiaries. They need to be involved, even in the decision making, in the implementation of the disbursement. They need to be involved. If they are involved, if we are involved, we will know when the funds have been disbursed. When students are not allowed to write exams, we know what to do next, because so apart from the app again, we need to be involved in all the processes to ensure that the right thing is done and for indigent students to be able to benefit.
Okay, prior to this revelation, were you having any issues, with the disbursement of the loan fund? What were the other issues that students were actually having before this particular revelation?
The delay. We were surprised as a result of the delay. The delay was unnecessary. It was the major issue. But now we understand the reasons behind the delay.
Okay,
we thought the monies were not released even to NEL Fund. And NEL Fund is trying to see how they will get funds to be able to make these payments.
So what do you think government should do going forward? To ensure that this kind of issues don't, repeat again?
Three things, and NEL Fund has taken the appropriate step. The app that has been created, appropriate punishment, and involvement of students. With this, there won't be these issues to be properly taken care of.
Okay, David, what do you think NEL Fund and government should do further to nip issues like this in the bud?
So you see, these are the things that NEL Fund is already doing. I want to quickly speak to his proposition that the students should be involved in the entire process. I agree with him. But you see, so as to cut out the possibilities of this kind of negative occurrences, NEL Fund has arranged such that there's no human interface.
Okay.
You go on the website, you apply, you fill in all the relevant information that are required. If you meet the criteria, you succeed and you are enrolled. Disbursement is done through banks, bank to bank. You understand? And all of this was put in place so that you remove that human interface that is prone to all these kind of negative tendencies that we are now seeing in the glitches where you have some of these loop holes. So what NEL Fund is doing is the correct thing. They are bringing into place an app which will alert the beneficiary whenever disbursement is made to the institution. So once that beneficiary is alerted, he is empowered. The institution cannot lie to him that funds have not come, that there's delay, or that there's whatever. He's empowered with that information and with the evidence to show that indeed funds have been disbursed and the school has received those funds. When I say I urge the student union, and we'll make this proposition to NEL Fund, that the leadership of the student union should also have that app, so that they are also aware when disbursements are made, and they can pick this case up on behalf of their students, beneficiaries. Then the other aspect of what NEL Fund is doing, like I told you, is they've involved EFCC and ICPC. Now, EFCC and ICPC are going to dig deep and further investigate. Those who are already doing this would be used as scapegoats and examples to others who have the intention but are yet to do. So that this act is not seen as a lucrative venture, for any higher institution that has beneficiaries. And even banks who are involved in this will also be brought to book. And to speak to the issue of those who have missed exam because of this type of incidents, by the time EFCC finishes investigations and come up with the facts, those schools must have to conduct exams for those students.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking to these solutions that you have just brought out now, I know that NOA should have a way of planning to, enlighten the students about this recent development. I mean, getting them to, know about the payments from the onset. And the father NOA is creating an app, or Nelfund.
It's Nelfund that's creating the app, yes.
Yeah. So what plans do you have to communicate this latest trend to the students?
We will engage with students on several platforms. Majority of students are young people. One place you are very sure to find them, like you mentioned, is on TikTok, and other social media handles. So we will take the message to them on those platforms. We'll also put the messages on our platforms on television and radio. We also have plans very soon to deploy some interventions around campuses in all the states of the Federation. And it's going to be a high-profile activity, campus debate. We did it last year.
Okay.
We're planning to do it again this year. The plans are already in the works, and that will see our officers going to many campuses and engaging, with students across board.
Okay, Comrade Atiku, what will be your final words on this? What will be your advice to students, to everybody who is involved in this student loan scheme?
Yes, to the students, my colleagues, is that they should have faith in this very good policy initiative of government, and that the right thing is being done. So with that, to Nelfund, they should keep on doing the right thing, and EFCC should not make it something political if those involved have political affiliations. So they should do the right thing. They should know that the lives of people are involved in this, and these are the future leaders of the country. Okay.
Okay, David, what will be your advice to students? I'm glad that up to this moment they are not going overboard.
Yes, my advice to students is they should take advantage of this initiative from government.
Maybe it's also seize this opportunity to enlighten them more about who and who should benefit.
Yes. So if you are in either a federal higher institution or a state higher institution, you are eligible, studying any course. So the Nelfund is available, for people who are from indigent families and require this assistance to see them through their education. The loan itself does not attract interest, of any significant value. So people are encouraged. We discovered that the uptake of the Nelfund loan is higher in some regions of the country than it is in other regions. We all have our nuances, across Nigeria in our various regions. Some people think that loan is something to be feared. This loan that Nelfund is offering is not something to be feared.
Okay.
People are not going to be put under pressure until they get a job.
Okay, so your final word.
Yeah, so my final word is that those who have been embarking on these negative tendencies that we are talking about should cease.
Okay.
They should know that people's lives are at stake, just like the NANS president said.
Okay.
And they should treat this matter with compassion,
all right,
for beneficiaries.
Okay, treat this matter with compassion. You've heard it all, and this is exactly where we'll call it today. And on today's outing, let me quickly appreciate Comrade Atiku Abubakar Issa, President, National Association of Nigeria Students, and a political analyst. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
And to David Akoji, Director, Special Duties, National Orientation Agency. Thank you so much for your insight on today's conversation.
Thank you very much.
And to our viewer, thank you so much for always being a part of this. Remember, the program Nigeria Today airs weekdays at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch a repeat at 10 o'clock in the night, as well as other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 have. I am Mina Daniels. Bye for now.